And people say, well, if that would have happened, wouldn't it have left a mark on the Earth? And that it did. That's the mid-oceanic ridge. In the middle of the ocean, it's the mid-oceanic ridge. That's a mountain range, 46,000 miles long. How does that form? By stretching in two directions. Okay, and so right now you got with the two cliffs 60 miles high, the water's shooting up with hypersonic speed, and it's eroding the granite above and on the side, and that's where we get a lot of our sediment for sedimentary rock. And then eventually these cliffs get wider and wider and wider, and there's nothing to push down on the mantle, so the mantle bulges. Okay, and when it bulges, the continents start sliding because the continents are on supercritical water, which is 50 times slicker than water. So it's just think of this big ice hockey or air hockey table. Now you can show the mountains one. The North America and South America are sliding, then Africa and Europe are sliding, then they buckle up when they meet resistance, and that's how we get the Rockies and the Andes, which are pretty much parallel to the mid-Atlantic ridge. Okay, and so now you got mountains, which are a big mass on a small base. They sink in, and then the plateaus, if something sinks in, something has to rise up, and that's the plateaus. That's another mystery for them. Okay, and then as that's how you get Grand Canyon. That's a whole nother talk, but you can see that on my YouTube channel. Okay, so the mountains sink in, the plateaus rise up, and similarly, as the mid-oceanic ridge rises up, something has to sink in, and that's the Pacific Ocean. So the Pacific Ocean sinks in, and that's why the trenches, that's why that ocean is so much different than all the other ones. It's got all this volcanic activity and table mounts and sea mounts and trenches. Mariana Trench is a mile deeper than Everest is high. Okay, so then the water which was covering the Earth gushes off the Earth to fill in the Pacific Ocean, and Walt Brown thinks that happened on the 150th day of the flood. That's the eruption. You had the eruption phase of the hydroplate, and then the continental drift phase of it, which he thinks was about 24 hours, and then he thinks the mountains rose up in about an hour. Okay, as they crushed like a car accident, just crushed up there, and then as it went up, it pushed the atmosphere, and then you had this big wind coming, like a tsunami of wind going across the Earth. Okay, and so then the water gushes off, cuts these canyons, which the submarine canyons are cut then, but the continental shelves are still sticking out. So it cuts the canyons, the continents sink down, and then the oceans rise up and bury those submarine canyons. And then we have the Ice Age, and evolutionists can't explain that, but we can. It takes a little bit of time, but we'll just fast forward. They found a mammoth standing up that was frozen in permafrost up in the Arctic Circle.